Hey everybody, you're listening to the Hisessions Hawaii podcast, where we talk about everything local and beyond. I'm John Yamasato, your host, and joining me today is Mr. Kyle Shimabukuro.
How's it?
Devon Nekoba.
What's up?
Before we begin, let me remind all of the ways you can stay in touch with the show. There's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Hisessions. Of course, you can go to SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, listen to the podcast. If you'd like to help the show, get more music on the channel, please go to patreon.com and donate. They'd be more involved with the show, all that kind of stuff. We do have a new Patreon.
All that kind of stuff.
It's the same thing every week.
Shorthand.
Yeah, new Patreon this week, Rini J. So thank you,
Rini,
for becoming a
Wow.
patron. We really appreciate it. I don't know where Rini is, so we'll just say that she's out in the world
Well, we
somewhere.
appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
We'd like to thank Koopa Koopa Landscaping, landscape architects. You can call Kevin Yokomura, 808-722-8685 for a free estimate on any landscaping needs that you have, or go to koopakoopalandscaping.com. Again, they just did the landscaping around the house here at the Hisessions studio. It looks great. Thank you to Fort Ruger Market for our wonderful lunch. We are coming to the holidays, so you know, if you have a Thanksgiving need or Christmas party or any kind of stuff, you can go pick up some good Kalua pig or poke or whatever from Fort Ruger Market.
Definitely.
You can find Devin on Kumu 94.7 or Kyle at highlifeclothing.com. And now, I'd like to introduce our guest today, our producer, director, writer, James Sereno, who does movies, commercial work, anything.
It's actually Sereno.
Oh, Sereno? Okay,
Nope.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Sereno.
okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's because I'm the one who knows him, so that's why. And I need to get jobs from him when he starts directing more stuff. So.
And
What? You knew that was going to happen.
and we'll go.
Was that the joke? You got to make it wrong and then...
No.
We'll explain later.
We'll explain later.
What?
But okay.
No, explain now.
So you can.
Explain now.
Me and John had a bet that you was gonna lobby yourself for more work from him.
Of course.
Sometime during this podcast.
Of course.
And now me and him gonna just go eat lunch on our own to celebrate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It happened within 3 seconds of our podcast.
He's here. I got him.
I know you would.
It's a thing when you're dealing with a
How you
director.
are. But
Devin is a good actor, though.
Very good.
I will vouch for him.
He's very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Devin is
Anyway.
in my top tier circle.
You don't have to lie, you know, because
No,
you're on
he
the
is.
podcast.
I know,
He
Jesus.
is. You guys didn't see him in that ASP when he was the banker.
I see him in the
No,
ASP
with
when he was
Charlie.
in a shower.
No, shut
Oh,
up. No,
yeah,
that was,
yeah,
no,
that one, I
no,
remember
no,
that,
That
yeah.
was gas
I
company.
got
Yeah,
a picture
gas.
of that one.
No, the
Yeah.
ASB one. The ASB one was with Charlie.
Oh.
That's the one with the
Yeah.
handshake and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
James
was a good one.
directed.
Yeah, that was a good one.
James said, do the handshake. Do it like this.
What was the shower one?
It was a gas company.
Gas.
Oh,
gas.
gas.
Oh,
That
gas
was Roy,
company.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
because
was
you need
Roy
hot
shooting
water
that.
for your gas, your
Yeah.
shower.
Like he knows every commercial pretty much that I've shot has been with James or somebody within the sphere
Yeah.
of kinetic. So
Yeah. Right on.
So
They're the only people who hire me.
So everybody here has seen James's work.
Yes.
But of course, you can also watch some of the movies he's done: Man Up, Gook, Paradise Broken, Growing Up Local. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about just becoming a producer, director. What's the difference between those positions? Because you do a little bit of it all.
Yeah.
So which ones do you like better and all that kind of stuff. But first of all, thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
thanks, you guys. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
So let's start from the beginning.
Yes. I
And-
always have to remind them of this because every time they just sort of jump in, start asking questions. So when you're directing, and I'm like, no, we gotta like share.
How did he even get here?
Yeah.
Is what
How did I get here or doing what I do?
into life? When you came to life, you were born where?
No. Okay, so no, we're
Okay,
talking about
so-
producing and directing. So were you always a cinephile or?
Wait. He was gonna give.
No.
his-
Actually, yeah, no. That totally
Okay.
leaning that
Okay.
way. It was a weird thing. I went to the lab school in high school. I love movies, yeah. But growing up in Hawaii, I mean, I love sports too. You're not into sports, but I would talk about, hey, sports and this, and then movies, and then nobody else would want to talk. Today, it's different. So
Interesting.
when I went to UH, there wasn't really any programs or anything there. So I went to UH for a little while, and it was just frustrating. So I ended up leaving. I went to school in the mainland. Went to college there, and then always knew I wanted to come back home. And so I kind of got my education up there, learned my craft, and then eventually moved back to Hawaii. And to be honest, I actually Actually, you know about Island Video Jams? So I when I lived in LA, I would come back to visit, and I made up this TV show, Island Video Jams. It starred Billy V, Augie, Patricia Ford, and Trini was on it.
right, yeah.
And it was just music. I just
Was it
made
music videos?
Yeah, music videos.
okay.
It was this
Yeah,
music
yeah,
video
yeah.
show. So I just would come back home and I wanted something to do, so we would just shoot the show, and I would go back and forth. And eventually I thought, I was going to make this TV show and do that here. But when I came back, I realized, well, it's kind of hard to sell a TV
It
show.
was kind of like a Hawaiian MTV.
Yeah, it was at that
Yeah.
time. And I actually thought, I didn't see many music videos then, so I thought, I'd make a TV show that would show videos that maybe people would hire me to do videos, right?
So
But
did
then-
you put together the musician videos too, or
No,
did you just produce a show?
Well, I think we made a couple because my partner at the time was this guy, Lester Ganton. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah,
Flying
yeah.
Hawaiian
Yeah.
Productions. So he was kind of the music side, and we made a couple of videos for him. I forgot his groups. But I thought, that'll be my career.
Well, wasn't Chant on one of those videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but nobody bought the show. And then we didn't make any videos. So I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? And it was just serendipitous. I made TV commercials in the mainland. So I reached out to some people, and then somebody hired me, and then somebody else hired me. And it's just, in Hawaii, it's kind of like you just start meeting people and you just start working. And then, here I am 20 plus years later. I'm still doing it. Yeah.
I feel as though, especially in this business, you can't sit around and wait for someone to give you work, right? You got to create something, and then when you create something, then that leads to the next thing, and then that leads to the next thing. And so your original idea was this music video kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then it kind of, and it's kind of like you have to be nimble too, right? So I thought I was going to go this way, but then I went that way, and then I was like, okay, I'll just go that way. And then as I went that way, then this happens. So you kind of have to be open to all kinds of stuff.
So when you moved back home and you had that concept for this video show, how did you land those hosts? Because those guys are really, they're top tier hosts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So again, I was really lucky because I was in the mainland. Lester was here. We would work together, and there was this guy. He was a friend, and he had this place called the Internet Cafe. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael Feeney. He was this pilot. I cannot remember how I knew him, but I knew him. And he said, "Come over here and do all the casting here." And I don't know how we did it, but we put it in the paper. I don't know how we got it, but they put it in the advertiser, that casting new MTV style show. And tons of people showed up. I was like, oh my God. And through that, Augie actually came down. And I don't know how we got Billy, but Billy came down. So I'm not sure, maybe Lester knew people. It just kind of fell together.
Bill at the time was he was in charge of FM 100 and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was the guy you would pull.
Yeah,
to do
exactly.
any of that kind of
And
stuff,
it kind of just made sense. So actually at one point, we only wanted 2 hosts. So I loved Billy. And then, we had Trini. We loved Trini. And then Augie was super funny too. So I was like, God, I got to pick 2, but I like 4. And it was funny because Augie is so funny. And, Patricia Ford, you guys know Patricia Ford,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, we all know Patricia Ford.
She's actually...
John's like,
I just want to
whoa.
let you guys
Heard of
know.
her before.
Don't underestimate. She's super smart, super funny.
Yeah.
And she just knew how to play comedy with Augie, right? So they were both good together. So I was like, is this going to be the 2 hosts? Or am I going to go with Billy? And then I thought, well, what if I just used all 4, right? And that's kind of how it came about. And
Was it chaotic with 4 hosts?
we would do 2 and then 2. So
Oh,
we kind of
okay.
split it
You
up
could
with
do
them.
the Adam Curry
Yeah.
show, and then the downtown Julie Brown.
Yeah. I see what
So it
you're
was,
saying.
it was super fun, and I think I made a couple of shows, and then what happened was we were really lucky because Oceanic at the time, they were starting up that OC16, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had a friend who knew a friend, and then we met Mitzi, and then they ended up buying, I think we did 6 or 8 episodes or whatever, so they actually then paid us to do that. But at that point, it was a couple years had passed, and my TV commercial world was also kind of getting busy, so I was kind of doing both. But 30-minute TV show and then 30-second commercial. Commercials. I started going towards that because it was just more
Yep.
fun. Yeah.
We've been there.
Yeah.
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 So, okay, going back now. So you watched a lot of movies. What are some of your favorite movies, just out of curiosity?
Okay, so
Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's kind of funny, because everybody goes, because everything I have is Star Wars, right?
Oh, yeah.
So in our whole office is Star Wars. And I love Star Wars, right? I grew up on it, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with movies, right? So obviously Star Wars, the original. But I have tons, right? And I'm from this era. So I love Spielberg, right? I like directors. I like Martin Scorsese, right? And so I like all these directors. I like Jaws, I like E.T., I like Taxi Driver, I like Godfather, right? All these old kind of classic movies. So I think I kind of grew up on all of that. And I actually didn't even think, I'm going to make movies, or even knew somebody makes it. As a kid, I just liked movies. I liked the escape of it. So I would just watch movies all the time. And I would as I started getting older and VHS came out and HBO, I would just binge watch everything. And I just fell in love with it. And then one day when I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with my life, this was kind of backing up in the story. I was here, I was at UH, I kind of was flunking out, I was kind of lost. And my friend said, "Hey man, you love movies." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Why don't you be one of those cinema things?" And I go, "What is that?" He goes, "I don't know," right? So I said, okay. And at the time, my friend, he was in college in the mainland. And I said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "At the school I go to, they have like some kind of cinema program." And I said, "I don't know, is it any good or what is it?" He goes, "I don't know, let me check." So I said, "Okay." He came back, he said, "I'm going to send you the book, the program thing for it." So I said, "Okay." Sent it in the mail. I got it, and he went to USC.
USC Film School.
So, I had no idea, right? And I was like, he said, "I think it's really good." So I said,
just a little bit.
So then I went, okay, I'm going to go there. Not knowing how hard it was to get in and how difficult. And I mean, that's a whole nother story of how I got into film school.
That's okay. You can talk about that.
How'd you get into that kind of prestigious film school right out of Hawaii?
Okay, so backing up a little bit, I went to UH for a year. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Most people know this story. So I actually would go to class and just answer the same answer and everything. And eventually, what happens to that? I literally got kicked out of UH and got flunked out. And so I had to take some time off. And I eventually figured out my life. And most people go, "Then how did you get into USC?" But I got myself together. I had good high school grades, good test scores. And I wrote to USC when I went in there to negate that one. Like I had 1 year where I had 0, right? F. And it brought everything down. Yeah. And I told them, "Can you please take this off my transcript and ignore it?" And they did, And
really?
Yeah. And I got in because of that. You can just ask, You'd be surprised what you ask for and you can get, yeah.
What year was this?
This was in 80, I want to say 88, 80, something like that. Yeah. So I got in. Now I will say this, USC is a very prestigious school. And today I don't think I would have got in because it's really a high-end school. But
it's also expensive.
It's very expensive. But, you don't know what you don't know. And I then got into USC, but I didn't get into film school. So I thought, I'll get in, right? And then I got there and then I realized, my friend said, "Oh, it's really good." Then I realized, oh man, it's really, really, really good. And then I realized, oh man, all these guys here, they're really, really, really serious, right? Then I was like, oh my God. And of course, I'm very different today, but I was a local guy with slippers. And I mean, man, I just thought, what am I doing here, man? But I said, but I love film, right? I'm into it. So why not, right? This guy's here. I'm going to try. And so I applied, and I didn't get in. And I applied, and I didn't get in. So, each semester, you count time, right? That's 1 year. I applied again. I didn't get in.
What did you apply with, a portfolio piece or something?
Well, this was the interesting thing. So I'll tell you this story. A lot of people have heard it. And it was weird because applying, you would only turn in a list of kind of stuff you've made, and you would write an essay. And I thought, hey, you don't turn in a film. They wouldn't allow you to turn. Back then, you couldn't write a script. You couldn't write a story, right? So it was kind of hard to show your creativity, right? It was really
in an essay.
It was really boxed in. And so I would each time, and I would sort of say this, I would apply, and I knew it had to be the best I could be to get in. And I did that. And I didn't get in. So then I thought, oh my God, like I cannot be any better than what I just did. How am I going to do it? But I had to, right? So the next semester I figured out a way, and I thought, oh my God, I actually think this application is better. I'm in shock I literally was in shock. And then I didn't get in. Then you start going, how can I be better than my better? But you got to be better, right?
Right.
Then I go, how am I going to be better than my better that I didn't even know I was better? But I had to, because I didn't want to come home. That's all I wanted to do. I had no backup plan, right? So then I applied a third time. And I didn't get in. Okay? So now this is a year and a half of applying. And I have friends around me and people trying to get into school and people quitting and doing other things. And I'm like, I'm going to keep going. So I knew I had to dig in with everything I had, everything creatively. And I did it. I applied again. And I found some magic bean, some idea that was better than anything else. And I didn't get it.
Really?
Oh.
So 4 times now. And I dug so
Now you're
deep.
2 years in.
2 years in now.
Now, was this applying just a refining of the first one?
No way. I would
completely different.
Start all over, start from zero, a whole new creative approach, a whole new idea within that box. Yeah. And I'll say this. So then you start again, and it's all fresh. Yeah. And after 2 years, and how it would work is you would call, right? You would call them, and it was just so funny because you would call. In my mind, I know it didn't happen like this, but in my mind, you go, hey, James Sereno, trying to check if I got in. And they'll go, hold on. Now, they weren't that mean, but in my mind, they were like that. And then they would come on. You didn't get in, right? It's just soul crushing, right? So, literally, so after the 4th time, I would say this. I was quite unhappy, right?
Oh, yeah.
I was quite angry. I'd been up there for 2 years, spending all my money at USC. I dedicated my craft, my life. I felt like something had called me to become this guy, right? And here I am, 2 years trying to do this. So I remember I had a little apartment that was about the size of the studio. And I was sitting in there on my bed. And when I got rejected, I literally went, and I screamed like out loud. I'm going to swear a little bit. What the fuck? Why the fuck am I here? Why did you I'm talking to the dude, right? Why did you send me here? But, you're all alone. You go nuts, right?
Yeah.
Why did you? And something happened. And I cannot tell you, but this idea just went right into me. And I was quiet. And I went, oh my God, what is that?
You got possessed.
Some idea came into my head of what to do for the next application. And I went, oh my God, that is brilliant. And I was stunned.
What'd you do? You changed your last name to Spielberg.
That's how, you know it. That's what I did. But
James Scorsese.
Yeah. So what happened was, the short version is, from that moment, for the next 6 months, every day, I worked on that application. Yeah. And the short version is, I cheated. Yeah. And somebody said that when they do the walking tour at USC, they talk about my story of how I got in.
Really?
I don't know if that's true or not, because I never heard it, because I never did the tour. But my friends told me when they took the tour, I told them my story, and they said, that's the story they tell. And basically what happened was, the rule was no script, right? No movies, no the storyboard, no this. But it didn't say comic book. And as a kid, I used to draw these little comic books and write these little stories. I always did it. And so my application was a comic book about the whole process of applying to film school and all the trauma you go through and what you go through. And I made this story about all these cadets who are flying above the film school on a plane, and they're in these army helmets, right? And some of them have been beaten up because they've applied and not gotten in. And they would drop you into the film school jungle, and you would run to try to get into film school. So the whole experience I went through, it
got you the position.
Gave me the idea. And eventually when I applied, and it's kind of funny because when I applied, I got in from that one. And it kind of changed my life. Like, because before that, and I try to tell people, I was just this local kid who kind of hung around and did the best I could, but had this dream. But I had to really dig in, yeah. And I kind of had no choice because I couldn't come back home and I had no other thing I wanted to do. So in one way, I was just stupid, right? I just thought I could do it. And then I realized, wow, it's hard. Then I realized, wow, it's really hard. Then I realized you have to like put your whole self in it.
So when you did that comic book thing, what did it look like when you presented it to them? Was it a storyboard thing or was it an actual comic book?
It was a comic book. It actually had a blank page. I have a copy of it because I made a copy. They have the original. And it just said everybody begins with a blank page and how you fill it is up to you. It's empty. And then you open it up and it looks like a comic with frames of a comic. And I drew it and, you know, the plane and the characters. So it just looks like a typical comic book. Wow. Yeah, that I drew.
So you're a good illustrator too then.
Actually, I'm not. But what I thought about hiring somebody, but I'm not. But I'm good enough that I could draw it. And every day, like, I would draw it. And every day I would redraw it. I mean, for 6 months, I worked on it every day.
It's
so
called passion.
Yeah.
Well,
but they also probably saw your skill in storyboarding, right?
Yeah. Well, it ended up serving me in the future, but I didn't know. But after that, I learned, like, the critical lesson, which is kind of how I live today from that is, hey, you don't know. Like, so every idea I come up with, whatever comes out, I don't know where it comes from. And then how I do it, I don't know. And I just know I got to work really, 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 really hard. And I know you guys probably do it with music. Me and the project, there's no separation. So like the project we're about to do now, there's no gap between me and what we're doing. It's the same, right? Yeah. So me and the project, it's just one, right? And once you swallow it and it's in you, you just, like you said, you possessed, right? So every job I do, I just work like that. And I don't know, it's worked. So I don't know. That's how I do it. Yeah.
Do you find yourself in that mode even when you're at a dinner or at an event?
Yeah, that's why I got divorced.
Just watching them. But I think all of us are like that.
Yeah, it's kind of painful. Yeah.
It never ends, you know?
Yeah, you cannot turn it off.
No,
you know, so you're always on. And that thing, like I talk about it, there's this little thing, right here. And I'm always like this. Even when I'm sleeping, it never goes off, right? And at first you think, oh, man. But then you realize, oh, man, right? And that's the thing that I go, I'm 24/7, right? So to me, and I go, I don't know, most people, I mean, I love what I do, right? Most people, they don't even care about what they do. So I go, I'm not going to complain about that.
How do you quiet your mind at night, though? Do you just drink a lot of milk or anything like that?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because I was telling you guys earlier, every morning, I cannot quiet my mind. So nothing does it. Even sleeping, I cannot, right?
Yeah.
And at one point in my early times, I learned that drinking did help, but I don't drink anymore. Yeah. Very bad. But today I actually swim, and it's the only thing that I do. When I go in the water, I don't know why, and I swim. And I swim laps in my pool or I go to Ala Moana. I don't know why, but when I swim and I do laps and I do the repetition, everything goes blank. And that's the only time. So kind of weird.
That is interesting. Maybe survival mode kicks in or something.
I don't know what it is, but no, I'm just going 1, 1, 2, and I start counting and then everything else goes away. So, but other than that, every single thing I do in my life, right? Even when I'm sleeping or eating or whatever, it's all the process, right? I'm sure you guys will.
Do you have a release, John, that you think of, or something that you do to get your mind? Well, Fortnite.
Besides Fortnite, yeah.
Fortnite, yeah.
Fortnite, get you.
What about you?
What?
What do you do to turn it off? You just eat and go sleep.
Pretty much. I just sit in front of a TV and watch something,
and then
it goes away.
Yeah, and then it goes away because then you're watching somebody else's idea of what they're doing. Right, and so you can kind of.
I used to be like that, but I have been able to turn mine off.
That's good.
But so like
because you have Fortnite now.
I guess I don't know, but yeah, I mean,
and sports cards,
and you have kids.
Because it's not like it lives in one aspect of your life, you know, like because so like when we were doing back in the day the music stuff, like I would think about it all the time. When I was sleeping, I'd be in class, I'd be thinking about music stuff. You could be walking down the street, some idea pops in your head because it's just I know what you're saying. It's like this little thing in the back of your mind, you know. And then when I started working for the real estate stuff, it's the same thing. Like I was just obsessed with it all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe at a certain point, I'm just like, I can't do.
It's a personality trait.
I kind of put it in a box or something.
That only certain people have.
I think so, and I think you understand. I mean, I'd like to believe everybody has it, and everybody's voice is either quieted or louder, depending. But I think certain people gravitate to it because it's just natural or innate. And I cannot,
but it's an obsessive compulsive thing or something. Like I don't know if you have OCD or whatever, but like it's just like these things. Like I'll listen to a track of a song and I'm like, there's this one thing, and it just bugs me, and I can't stop. I will not leave my brain until it gets fixed, or but I don't like that, so that's why I don't.
But you also told me when you're a kid, you would have to learn this ukulele like until you learn you can't sleep.
Right. Yeah. You like it's just you can't turn it and so that's why I think
stop, right?
I think a lot of artists are weird.
Yeah, they are weird.
Because they have some kind of disorder in their head where things bug them, and like I said, it doesn't just translate to one thing. It just affects. But lately, I've been able to turn it off.
The biggest problem that I have in that world, I don't know how you guys are, is that it's kind of like, and I equate it because I like basketball, right? So I always equate everything to basketball. So I go, hey, you cannot turn on the game when you're in the game. When you practice, you got to practice like it's in the game, right? So you cannot go, okay, we're going game mode now. You got to have that habit. And in mine, there's this thing that, and I get asked a million questions, right? Because we're collaborating with all kind of people, and I have all kind of people around me. Hey, you like the red shirt? You like the blue shirt? You like color? No color? You like that? You like that? You want the pin strip? You like the this? You like that? In half a second, you got to answer. And to know that, to me, I got to be tapped into this truth, right?
Yeah.
And I got to always be tapped into that, right? The problem is, hey, try eating dinner with somebody, and then they go, how you like the fish? And you go, I don't like it. And you go, you shouldn't say that, but I cannot. So, because that thing doesn't turn off, right? So I sit there and I go, because I cannot go, it's real good, because I cannot. So I go, I don't know. Well, did you not like it? Well, I don't really, and I cannot.
So you can't lie. You have a hard time lying, or just
I can lie.
But that was good.
Yeah, I exaggerate and I embellish.
Yeah.
But if someone asks my opinion of something, I cannot not tell what I think about it, what I feel about it, because that's innate in what I do. And so it's very problematic in real life. So somebody asks me all the time.
Did you ever come up with a time when you thought of something, like the lightning bolt came and you're like, that is an awesome idea, and you're in the middle of producing or creating or directing it, and then all of a sudden another lightning bolt hits you that's better than what you did? Do you change course?
It just depends.
Did you ever?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, sometimes, when I first started, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but I don't, like, you may have seen it on set, and if you didn't notice, I don't carry paper. So I don't write anything down.
Yeah. I mean, for like John, if he's changing directions of a song, he's only him.
Yeah.
It's not like 15 people working for him, acting and directing and lighting and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, I have.
You just switched it.
Yeah.
It kind of depends. So sometimes I will switch midstream, and it's terrible. So they would say a lot like, and most of the time, actually, it's not really a switch. It's okay, that looked good. Let's move on. And I would walk away, and as I walk away, another idea would come in, and I would come back. So everybody knows count to 10 on my set.
Did you experience that?
Yeah.
Everybody, the people who've worked with James, we all love working with James because it's the way he directs.
On the spot creativity.
It's on the spot creativity, but he's always, like he says, he's always keyed into whatever it is that's the pure story of the thing that he's trying to tell. You may not get there necessarily the straightest way possible, but he'll keep screwing with it and messing with it and touching it and moving this around and try this until he gets what he sees. And when he sees it, he goes, okay, that's good. And then if he doesn't see it, he'll work at it until you give him what he wants.
You know how it is. You playing the music, and then sometimes you get it, and sometimes you cannot push through, and sometimes you got to walk away. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when that movement of just going away, your mind for a moment goes away, right? Like the swimming. Yeah. And then it gets empty, and then it fills up with the idea, and you go, oh yeah, that's it. And then you just and I turn around, I go, wait. So everybody knows, they just stand there. So my team waits 10 seconds because they know most of the time. Wait, I thought, and they're like, okay, and they know it's not over.
I just had this revelation though. This is probably why a lot of bands break up. Because you have multiple people who have this thing that's going like this in the back of their head, and if it's not a certain way, it just bugs the crap out of them.
But this is
really
this
But you got multiple people trying to put that same input into one project,
It's
right?
really, really hard. I mean, I can tell you something that we're doing right now that I cannot tell what the project is, but I'm making this big commercial right now for a Super Bowl, local Super Bowl coming up. And we're using a really, 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 what do I say? Okay, anyway, there's a scene with surfing, okay? So, but where we surf, where we shoot, where we're going to do it, where it's going to be. There's so many people. Now, I don't know surfing too well, so I'm not an expert on it, and that's part of the problem. So I like swimming, but I don't know water and the ocean. So I'm talking to everybody, and everybody has a different opinion. Where we're going to shoot, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And I get like 10, 12 people around me that
the
all
pressure,
have
right?
different points. Well, they all have different points of view. And we send in pictures. We just send pictures and we mark them, and then somebody mark another area, and then they talk about another area. And it's really hard. So that's part of the problem, is that there's so many voices, and you don't want to make, and I talk about it like red plus green plus blue plus yellow is brown,
Yeah.
And I go, I don't want to make brown,
Yeah.
So you don't want to appease everybody and then nobody win, right?
It's also hard though as a creative to be business minded too.
Yeah.
Because when you want something perfected, but at
Yeah.
the same time there's time and money involved.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes where I find myself sacrificing creativity.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the hardest thing. It's actually kind of weird. I tell you guys, like on Friday, you guys know Alison Noy.
Yeah.
She did this, I don't know, the chart thing or whatever. Ryan was doing a video for her. So
okay.
I said, hey, do one for me. So she charted me. And it was freaky because she got it, right? I mean, it like almost made me pee in my pants. It was so right. I was like, how did you know all this? But it's that weird balance of the creative side and then the execution,
Yeah.
And then it's the ideas and then money, And that thing is this weird push and pull. And we do it all the time. I mean, the project I'm doing right now, we had to budget it before we even knew what we were doing. I mean, 90% of the time we're locking in budgets, like for my TV commercials, before we even know what it is.
Yeah.
But it becomes, and we talk about it, it's called the circle method. Yeah. So you come around, like even today, we're going to talk again. We never working like this. We're working like this. So then we budget it, but then we come back, we talk about ideas, and then we got to rebudget, and then we come back and we're talking about ideas. And then we got to rebudget, and we're talking about ideas, and so we just keep going around in circles. And we go, wow, that's really painful. And I go, yeah, man, my producer Sue, it's really hard, and it's really hard. But to me, that's the best way to work because you're really expanding. And I go, sometimes we compromise ideas, sometimes we don't. And there was something we're talking about this morning. I said, there's no way. I'm not fucking changing that. So I said, figure it out. I said, you guys don't have enough money. You guys don't figure it out because that shit's going to be shot like that. And now I'm not trying to be rude on it, but now they have to creative, and money is creative too. They got to creatively figure out how to get the money from somewhere else to make it. And sometimes I go, okay, fine, we'll just do it because it just depends.
But your vast experience and your creativity and your success can make you demand certain things, so they listen to you and go, "Oh no, he knows he knows his shit."
Yeah, but
for the person stepping into that job for the first
yeah.
time, it's a negotiation, right? Like
I guess so.
between spending all this money and using your creativity, but you're rolling the dice on their creativity, where it's gonna.
I guess I would say this. To be honest, I don't see it any different from how I do it now. I have more experience, but I don't think I'm smarter. In many ways, I actually think I think I'm a better director today, experience-wise and knowledge-wise, than I've ever been. But when I was a young director, in one way, I think I was way better. And I don't know how you feel about musician. I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
So because I didn't know shit, I thought everything could be done.
was possible.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just, and you know how painful that guy was, that young guy. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Almost everything I talked about couldn't be done. But I had no idea.
And
today,
then you just push for it to
you
get
just
that.
push for it to get it because you're
There's no boundaries.
You're so stupid. You don't know what
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah.
Like even getting into film school, you don't know what you don't know. So you push it. And then it happens. Not all the time. But then today, I know what I know. And you don't push as hard. I know what I can do. So it's a different thing. I feel like today I'm a seasoned, experienced director that percentage-wise, I have a higher percentage today to make a better spot. But back then, as a young wild card, I couldn't flame out. But I might hit you to a grand slam home run. You don't know. Yeah,
I don't think you've ever done a bad spot.
I've done many
Really?
bad spots. lots. Yes.
Wow.
Lots.
Because I mean,
a lot.
I remember working with you on Hawaiian Host, and I remember going into that audition, and I walked into the room and was all these big strapping Hawaiian dudes, and I'm standing there like, what? Why am I in this casting? I don't understand. And then I got cast, and I went, wait, I don't understand. And then we showed up at the thing, and James basically handed me a box of chocolates and said, okay, so walk around. And then just at some point in time, 4 out of 5 people like Hawaiian Host, yeah? Okay. Now just walk up to the person and just go be you. And I went, what? He goes, yeah, just.
So you were a server to the Hawaiian?
No. I was walking up as
I remember
as
this
somebody.
I can even tell you that because I remember that one.
Yeah.
So there was all these people who wanted to do it. But the thing about it is we picked Devon, I can tell you. Because we needed somebody
that really likes chocolate.
that would eat the chocolate. Yeah. Who would look like this guy eats
boxes,
chocolate.
I eat boxes
this
and
guy
still be
eats
happy.
a lot of
He
chocolate.
does.
He's definitely, hey, look at him. I'm going to eat it because if he's carrying it. We just needed someone who would be quick and witty and smart enough that you don't have to tell him nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why I never tell you nothing. I just said, go tell him that. And then you get out of the way. And that's the best, right? You get out of the way and you just go, if you pick the right people, you hear it all the time, then they do it, right? And your job is real easy, yeah?
Devon's good on the fly.
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
that's what he's super good at.
Yeah.
And I think then if I put you out on the fly and you have no choice but to fly, you got to, right? Okay, bye. You go shoot it. Wait, what? Bye. Now you got to either improvise or you're going to go cold. And most of the good ones, they can find it and they make them. And then you go, oh, yeah, that was my idea. Nobody does it bad. Oh, that's Devon. No, I'm kidding.
But I've also seen him have to work with an actor that you cast that was not giving you the performance you needed. Yeah. And you can see the frustration growing with James. Right. So it's funny because those of us we feel like a repertory company with him. So if you've worked with James before, when you go to a shoot and you meet somebody who's never worked with James before, we go, okay, get ready. It's going to be a little bit different for you. Because I said, if you've worked with a director before, it's not like working with James. I said, he's going to throw you curveballs and you're going to have to catch them and do them, because if you don't catch him, he's going to get, at some point in time, he's going to get pissed off because he's going to ask you, I hired you because I expected you to be able to
I have one
do this.
Good story. You guys, I can share this one. This is
good.
This one, good one, if you guys want to hear it. This is, I think this is directing 101, right?
Yeah.
And I cannot do it anymore on set because of the new rules of the world. Okay. Honestly, I have some rules that I have to follow today just because of the way things go. But in the early days, I had this shoot I was doing. It was actually for Jody, for her client. And it was this scene, and there was like 7 or 8 local boys. Good guys, like 18, 19, 20, good dudes, but hey, tough dudes, you know? And I'm there, okay, we're going to do this, hey, we're going to do that. And they don't like listen, yeah? Because, hey, they're local dudes. They don't want to listen to me. So I'm like, hey. And I realized, you see me, like, I don't look like a dorky guy, right? So they're just looking at me, come on, man. So 7 or 8 local dudes. So I'm like, hey, you guys, come. We're going to do something, okay? Okay, let's all stand together. You guys stand there. And luckily, I had my writing partner, who knew me. Like, and he stood there, he knew. I said, we're going to do it. Yeah. Okay, you guys ready? Yeah. Okay, and I started taking off my belt, opening up my pants, unzipping my pants, and I dropped my pants down.
They must have been scared.
Me?
No, them.
They were freaked out. Now, remember, I'm on the set. The client is there, so I tell them, I'm going to do my thing, okay? They said, okay. So just everybody works. So there's like 40, 50 people around. So I open up my pants. I drop my pants. I'm standing there, no pants. And the guy next to me, as he sees it, he's following me, right? So I said, let's do it. Okay.
But you had BBDs on.
Yeah, BBDs. Okay. So BBDs there, yeah. BBDs there. I won't do it now, yeah. So I'm standing there, BBDs on, pants down. My other guy's pants down. And I go, let's go. So I'm looking at the guys. They're looking. I said, let's go, everybody, pants off. They just look at me. I said, pants off. They don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So he's standing there, and that was the standoff, right? Who's the alpha, right? They're all looking at each other. And luckily, one guy was like, dudes, come on. He said pants off. We got to pants off. And the guy started taking off his pants. Well, then the next guy take off his pants. The next guy, we're all standing there, right? So all of us pants down, right? So I go, how you guys feel? I said, we feel good. Yeah, we feel strong. They go, yeah. Now they're following me. Strong. They're all doing this. Strong. The other guy, strong. You guys feel great. Yeah. You guys do me a favor. Yeah. Don't fucking move. I go, I grab my pants up, put my pants on. I go, let's go. You stay there. And I left. And they had to stand there. It's kind of like animals. I hate to say it. They had to wait until I said move. And now they're standing there. And they said, don't move. Don't move. Now I know I'm in control.
Yeah.
10 seconds later, I came back. I said, let's go, guys. You ready? Yeah. Pants on. We're going to act. They didn't give me shit after that. And it's just showing alpha, right? So I have weird methods, and sometimes...
Did you think of that method beforehand?
Yeah, was that a USC
No, I just made
thing?
it up. I just made it
Oh.
up. No,
See,
USC
that's the kind of
101.
stuff he does. That's the
101,
kind of stuff he
101,
does.
film school 101, stuff like that. And I've done stuff. It's just different stuff. It's just triggering people. I've done, yeah. It's just
We did
different
that one
stuff.
audition where you had the camera and you're just like focusing on people. You're like, okay, so we're gonna you're gonna do this thing and you're gonna act like, I don't know, act like you're insane, yeah. And everybody's going, but this is a commercial for thing. And he's like, yeah, okay. So and he just wants to see if you're gonna do the thing that he's asking you to do. And so those of us who know him go, fuck, all right, this is what we're doing. And so we just do it, and we try to tell the other actors, just trust us. Just
Because
go
as
with
an
it,
actor,
it'll be
you're
fine.
supposed to be uninhibited, right?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
part of it. We had one shoot which was crazy. We had to go to Jackass Ginger, and we built a mudslide, and all these young kids had to slide down this mudslide. How are you gonna know who's gonna be afraid or who not? They gotta love it, yeah. So they were like, "How are we gonna know? How are we gonna? All these kids come in. How are we gonna know who's gonna do it and who's gonna not?" I said, "I know. How? Just watch me." So we went into the audition. I had all of them. I said, "Sorry, I gotta do something different." Okay, you guys all ready? Yeah. Everybody hop around like a frog. What? Everybody hop around like a frog. And I started doing it. Ribbit, ribbit. I started hopping around. I said, everybody be a frog. Ribbit, ribbit. The ones who were not afraid, the ones who were uninhibited, the ones who went full on frog, I cast them. Because I knew they're not afraid. They're going to go down the mudslide. And that was true.
But it's different too because you made the frog yourself too.
Yeah.
Well,
You
no, he
gotta-
always, that's the
you
thing,
gotta
he
be-
always,
you gotta be the
If
frog.
one guy
Yeah,
told me,
yeah.
hey, go make like a frog, and he's not doing it, I'm like,
Yeah,
"Frick
yeah,
you, I
yeah,
can
I
make a
know,
frog."
yeah. You got to be the frog,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
He always, he never asks you to do something that he's not going to do himself.
Yeah.
So whatever crazy ass thing he does, they go, really? We go, yeah, fuck, look, he's doing it. Just do the same thing.
But it's very rare. So
Yeah.
so I'm pointing out the rare. Most of the time, all the actors are, you don't have to do frog.
Yeah, you might have just scared a lot
yeah,
of people.
yeah,
right now,
it's all good. Yeah.
I don't like doing a frog.
I know. I don't want to do the frog.
I wanted to talk about Growing Up Local because that's the film that took 15 years,
17 years.
17 years, 17 from inception to being able to put it on video, get it shot the way you wanted to get it shot.
Kinda, yeah.
So, would you say that all of the films that you were shooting built up to that? Is that
Yeah.
I mean, is that kind of the pinnacle for you right now in terms of,
Yeah, I guess
until
so.
your next project
I
comes
don't know.
along?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so I just made this film, Growing Up Local, that just came out, and
Was it in HIF this past one?
no, we played in the theaters in August. So because I did that, we were ineligible for HIF, so we didn't do any
Oh.
HIF stuff.
It's a great film.
Yeah, so we actually didn't do any film festivals, and I had to choose between festivals and audience, and I chose to make it for an audience and put it out in the theaters. So we played at Consolidated for a while, and it's on Amazon now. It's actually interesting because we did it all ourselves directly with the theaters, and I've had distribution before on other movies, but I can get into that. But 17 years ago was actually the first movie I thought I was going to direct. And local story, growing up in Hawaii, it's based on a local short story. And I had actually way more money than I had when I made it this time. And I had Hollywood actors, and we're kind of about to go. But it was a big story, multiple generations, real thick. And for whatever reason, we didn't make it. I couldn't really tell you now, but I couldn't pull the trigger. Maybe today I could say I was scared or I wasn't ready, or it just didn't line up. It just didn't, I always say it didn't smell right. Yeah, it just wasn't right. So we just didn't do it. And it kind of got put on the side. It took about 3 years of chasing, and I just never pulled the trigger. And then we made other projects, which was fine. And I made other things. We made other projects. It was great. And then what happened was during the pandemic, we're kind of down. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna make a movie. I want to make something because I just, you know how it is. You feel like I got a juice, man. I got to squeeze that juice out because it's. So I was thinking, what am I gonna do? I don't. And I was actually developing a couple other ideas. I thought I was gonna go forward with that. So I was developing, and I was in San Francisco. I had a house up there. I was just chilling, and I said, I'm gonna read some scripts. You know, I read my hero guys. Yeah, I talked about I was going to read 7 and I have this kind of digital file with all these movies on them that I can read their scripts of great writing. And then Growing Up Local was in there. I don't know why. The script that I had written years ago was in that pile. I was like, hey, what is my script in here? I don't want to. Why is mine here? I don't want to read this. Then I went, hey. So I read it. I said, well, I'm going to try just read like 3 pages. I haven't read it in years. And I read the whole thing. And when I read it, I thought, hey, this fucking script's pretty good. I went, I should make this. And then I went, And I said, if I don't make it now, I'm never going to make it. So right in that moment, I just went, I'm going to make the movie. And we did. The script we made was very different from the one I read. We changed it a lot. And then it just became doing it. But without getting into it, it was real easy because I funded it myself. I wrote it. I directed it. I produced it. So it's, you go, how can you do all that?
What was the percentage of local actors you used?
Everybody.
Everybody.
It was all local. All local actors.
Who do we know that was in it?
Not anybody famous. So I chose not to have any famous actors.
Daryl was in, right?
Yeah, Daryl Cash. No, not Daryl Cash. Daryl Bonilla.
Oh yeah.
Daryl was in it, and mostly non-named people. So I chose to make it. Taimane did the music, so she's probably the only named person on it. But I really just wanted to get a group of people that I'd worked with before to make it. And so it's all local actors, all the local crews. I just did it like that just because I wanted
like
to.
they all know. James goes, hey, I'm going to do this movie. And everybody goes, okay.
Yeah, so
And,
we made it last summer. So it was just a project just kind of made out of passion. It was a local story about growing up in Hawaii, and part of it is my life and part of it is made up, and just I wanted to do it. Yeah.
A lot of your stuff is, kind of human drama. I'm trying to think like very personal kind of stuff, human experience kind of stuff. But you like you're a big Star Wars guy. What leads you to these type of movies that are more about human experience?
Well, Star Wars is human experience to me.
I guess
it's a story about a boy growing up and he has a dream. Yeah, he's a farm boy who has a dream, but he's held back, and through circumstances, serendipity, he has to become the man he never thought. So that's Star Wars to me. Same thing. Only one of them has spaceships and one of them has plate lunch. Yeah.
No, that is true.
Yeah.
Do you think George Lucas planned that, or it just grew into this crazy atmosphere of people kind of, and then he goes, "Oh, I better make things sound more, stretch it farther and make reasoning behind it."
Well, I don't know, but I don't know his thinking. I just know the stuff that I've read on it because my friends and I, that's all we talk about. Like, how come he did this or how come he did that? So that's the dialogue. I don't know. I think that he made a movie about who he was. I mean, truly, I think that Star Wars, he wanted to make a, I can't speak for him, but he wanted to make a space fantasy. And he had done this movie THX, which was his first movie he directed, which was sci-fi, but it was very dark. It did very bad, right? And after that, he said, I got to make a human story. And he directed American Graffiti, which was an positive story. And it was about his life growing up and cruising Modesto. And so I think he then made his third movie, kind of blended the two, right? He took his personal life, probably he was that farm kid, right? I mean, he grew up in Modesto, he was a farm kid, and took space fantasy and kind of blended it. So, but he did a lot. I mean, kind of like my getting into film school. I mean, he wrote that thing for 4 or 5 years. He full on went after it. And I think he really bled to get it there. And the original versions and what it became is very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what makes that movie so transcendent, right? The original I'm talking about is a space drama, and then to me it's a personal story, and it appeals to young kids, and it appeals to older, all kinds, right?
I guess what I'm saying is when he first wrote that thing, did he think of the sequel already and all the other things to come?
I'm not sure, but I
You know
don't
what I
think so.
mean?
I don't think so.
So
I
much
think he said he
backstory
did.
on everything, you know?
I'm not sure. I do think that he said he wrote a big story, so it was really gigantic. And he said the original Star Wars was just a chunk of that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the truth. You know, those stories
Yeah.
sound good, yeah? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw this interview on Vice with his wife where she said, that's not what happened. But his ex-wife, so
Yeah.
Ex-wife, so
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what happened.
You
but
know,
hey.
I was just thinking about this because, you know, Star Wars has one of the greatest twists in all of cinema, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
Darth Vader
Vader,
is
yeah, yeah.
Luke Skywalker's father. And then, but George Lucas never crutched on that ever after that. Where like M. Night Shyamalan, you know, you had Signs, right, where there's this
Yeah.
big twist at the end.
That's
And then like every movie after that had to have some kind of twist to it or something.
Like a
Correct.
signature thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was M. Night. That's M. Night's signature, yeah.
Yeah.
The gotcha.
The twist,
Yeah.
the gotcha. But then it's so hard because now once you do it once, everybody's looking for the twist.
Well, you're trying to expect it. It's hard, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Versus, you know, George Lucas, you don't expect a twist in every single movie he does. So he kind of was able to just.
He got away with
I
it.
guess
Gotta
the
get
reason
away
why I
with it, yeah.
asked
Well,
about
he
George...
also had space and
Yeah.
lightsabers. And
Yeah, but
and
like
Wookiees
Indiana
and all kinds of
Jones don't
shit
have a
that you could
twist,
go,
you know?
Let's use that.
The reason why I think I question, you know, that, because I was curious,
Yeah.
is because when I watched Lost, I was completely disappointed. It seemed like it was such a hit show the first season, and then after they just do, I don't know what we're gonna do, bro. Hey, we'll put the Dharma logo on shock. How are we gonna explain that? I don't know. Need to explain at the end.
I think-
you know what I mean. They
yeah.
just kept piling on stuff, but never really tied it
Well, because
together
they
in the
didn't.
end.
Well, because it's episodic TV. Episodic TV. Once you get the hit, then they're like, okay, how far can you take it out, right? And the ABC was expecting it to go for 15 years, and they're like, we can't do the story for that long. We can't.
So there probably was written in a script a reason why the Dharma logo was on that shark and all that kind of stuff. Then
You know, I don't know. Lost. I mean, we watched it, you know, and then, you know, we also watched it. Ooh, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And I would just sort of say, like, you know, you could even say that about Star Wars too, right? So I think what ends up happening is, and, you know, I look at, like, The Matrix, for example, which I think are great movies, yeah? And I think, hey, they came up with the first one. What were they thinking? I don't know. They just,
Yeah.
you know, it was based on a thing. I think it was based on a graphic novel or whatever. It was, hey, they just made it. And then you're successful. And that's the one. Now, oh, no. Now you're in the box, yeah?
Yeah.
They want you to do this. They want you to do that. Now, hey, what you going to do? Make the next one. Well, now, hard, yeah? To repeat. And
Yeah.
you know that on music, right? It's,
Yeah.
You make a song. Oh, everybody loves the song. Well, you kind of shit don't want to make that song because you got new ideas. But damn, everybody want to hear that.
Yeah.
Kind of song. What you going to do? And that's the hard part. And I go like I make TV commercials for a living. That's what I do. People hire me. I make it. I do all the local commercials, right? So if you've seen, I do pretty much all the banks, CPB, ASB, Hawaiian Electric. I'm about to do Hawaiian Air for all kinds, right?
yeah,
And for me, I'm invisible, yeah. So to an audience, they don't know who I am, right? So I can do whatever I like because there's no expectation, right? And even in my brain, I don't care on that. Like I can do different. I can change it. I can do however. There's nothing. But I think when somebody, right, and then you hear or you watch something, there becomes this expectation, and that can be hard.
yeah. It's kind of like Squid Games, right? Such a great, you know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything on sequel. You're like, oh, I don't know how they're gonna top that last
How you
one.
gonna? Yeah, and that's the hard thing because you watch it, no more expectation, and that's why I think I don't know who it was. Somebody said for music album, you have your whole life,
Oh, to do your first
to
album.
make your first
Yeah.
album, and then you
Yeah.
got like 6 months to do your
Yeah.
second. and you
Yeah.
go, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of hard, yeah.
And
So
the
I-
hits,
part,
the
sophomore
Van
part.
Halen thing where you're doing a Van Halen album one and it kicks ass out the box, and then they go into the studio, do Van Halen 2. It takes them 15 days to do the second album,
Yeah.
and you go, what the fuck? But it's because
They had
they
so
were
much content.
yeah, they had so much
were
content,
just
right? But
going-
it's as they ran out of content, and as Eddie started to branch out with his music, he went, oh, okay, keyboards, huh? Well, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But it's like the landing of the plane is the hardest thing to do. It's like it's even Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first 6 seasons, you're like, wow. But then as it started to reach the end, you're like, okay, how are they gonna
Yeah,
land
how are
this
they
thing?
gonna tie this
they
all
didn't
up?
have George Martin
That's how I felt.
leading.
because they didn't have the source.
Yeah,
material.
they didn't have the source. They had only so much source material, and then they said, "Fuck, we gotta land this plane. How are we
Up
gonna do
into
this?"
the last 2 seasons. The
Yeah.
last 2 seasons, they were on their own.
Yeah.
So one thought is, well, they didn't have source material. Real easy. I'm not saying real easy. Those two guys, I love Game of Thrones, right? And I feel like those two guys, they were masters, which is really hard, of the adaptation. That's super hard. What you're going to include, what you're not going to include. They were geniuses at that. Mm-hmm. Maybe they weren't geniuses at original
Doing
creation,
their own,
which is hard. That's what George R.R. Martin did.
That's why it's taking him so long to write the
That's right. And he probably is so stressed out because whatever he does, he's going to lose. Yeah. Everybody has expectations now from the show. So if he does it different, and that's big pressure. Yeah. But he don't seem, seems fine.
Yeah. Can you do the last question?
Wait, real quick.
Because I'm going to use the restroom.
Oh, okay.
So go.
Pause it.
And then just end
No. Because I want him to.
Pause it?
Okay, I'll pause it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to pause for the bathroom. A shot. So anyway, sorry.
No, go.
Okay, so my question for you was talking about landing the plane and talking about all that stuff. How are you feeling about? Sorry, guys. All this Star Wars stuff. Because I'm drowning.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on Star Wars.
I'm drowning in shit that they're putting out, because some of the stuff is good, some of the stuff is bad, some of the stuff I'm like, God, I really don't care. I'm cool, but I can't watch another thing. And I'm a Star Wars fan, like from the first film. Yeah. So where are you at?
They lost me at what's the one that Rian Johnson did?
Last Jedi.
Oh, Last Jedi.
Actually, when I saw it, I actually really liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
But then today I don't like it. But I actually really liked it when it came out.
Yeah.
I guess my answer would be to this. It's like we talked about. It's really hard, because there's what is the new Lord of the Ring one? Whatever.
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. It's really hard, I think, to follow up like magical shit. Yeah. And I think Star Wars was this magic in a box. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is they made the original Star Wars, the first one, and that was amazing. Mm-hmm. And Empire Strikes Back, if you know about it, they did something a little different on there, and they succeeded again. It's like Godfather 1, Godfather 2. They made something incredible.
Made it darker.
Darker. Yeah. The truth is, Return of the Jedi, not so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
The truth, it's okay. That's what everybody says. But it finished the trilogy solid, you would say. Mm-hmm. So you would say if the first one was a 10 and the second one maybe even was a 9 or even a 11, the third one was like a 6, right? Maybe even a 5.
But you're satisfied.
But you're satisfied because it closed it. Because like you said, you had to hit the landing, and they landed. Wasn't perfect, but they finished the trilogy, and the way they did it was good. So you were actually really satisfied with these 3, but you actually really only had 1 or 2 good movies.
But you think after the third one, they jumped the shark already?
I think it's hard because then 15 years later, right? Then they made 1, 2, and 3, and I would just say, like, this is just my opinion. I'm just a humble guy. I don't know. You make the Darth Vader origin. Bro, I don't know how to tell you. We know the end already. So kind of hard, right? Yeah. You are into it. That's a great story, but we know where we're going. Yeah. So kind of hard to sustain. And I go, no matter what they did, and then George Lucas focused on some different stuff because he was an older guy. Mm-hmm. He focused on politics and all of that. And I get it because he was an older guy.
And all green screen, too.
And all green screen because he was into the technology. And did he lose sight of the story? I cannot tell you, but there were things that were interesting to him, and it was different than the young guy. So it was different movies, but everybody wanted something, but that's not what it was. It was a different movie. Now, you can watch those 1, 2, and 3 today, and they're actually not awful. Okay, I say that.
Yeah.
But I agree. But they're not Star Wars as the original ones were, because he was a different man. Then, they made the new ones. And to me, they then, no disrespect, but they trying to replicate what it was before. Hard you had a carbon copy like that. Hard to try to capture something magical because you didn't make it, so you don't know, right? But they made the new ones, and I would say the first one, yes, okay. Then that second one, I don't know. And then the third one, wow. So now it's off the rails.
But you guys are diehard fans from the beginning, from 77. What about the kids, though, that are watching this for the first time?
Hey, some of the kids, my kids, growing up, they called 1, 2, and 3 their Star Wars. And they said, our Star Wars is better than yours. Because they never saw. So they said, our Star Wars is the best. So I would argue with my kids all the time because they would go, your Star Wars sucks. And then one day I said, did you ever watch my Star Wars? And they went, no. So one day I made them sit down. Yeah, you're gonna watch the trilogy straight through.
I'm gonna lick you.
And then after it was done, they looked at me. Oh yeah, your trilogy better.
Oh, really?
And they real.
I would just think they're looking at it as so archaic, everything.
No,
But
they
No, but the
understood.
story-
But,
the
but my
story was
kids
stronger,
kind of
too.
knew film and all that.
Yeah.
Today, what I would say is this: it's hard because they're chasing something, yeah, and they're looking behind. And I would say this: when I first started as a director, I was this young, up and coming guy. I didn't know nothing, but the top guys back then, when their commercial work started to look like mine, and I was just a young nobody, and they started to copy me, I went, oh, they're screwed. Because they're ahead of me. And instead of running forward, they're looking back, looking at me. I go, they're going to hit the tree. Me, I can see everything. I'm running forward, so I knew I'm going to pass them. Not because I was better than them, just because they were worried about me. And I was going, you shouldn't. And today, I got lots of young guys. I'm the old guy now. I got a lot of young guys under me. I'm aware of them. But I'm not looking back. I'm trying to run faster than them. I mean, they really fast, yeah. So hard, yeah. But I think that now they make Star Wars and they try to copy or make what it was, and that's hard, right? And I would say, hey, I thought.
Well, but then you get like the Mandalorian, right?
The first season,
first season was great. John Favreau, right? And he wanted to do something a little different, and he put his spin on it, and it was good.
beautiful.
And then I don't know who comes in and goes like,
That's Dave Filoni.
we're not going to do it like this anymore, and then it just goes to crap. I don't.
I think what ended up happening was this.
Sorry, Kyle.
Sorry.
No, this is interesting.
You make Mandalorian
good.
1. Oh, how amazing is that? How did they keep that? And this is the thing. How did they keep that little guy a secret? They said Disney wanted to sell the little Grogu toys, and they refused it because they wanted the secret. That was such an amazing. So they had this magic, different, but a magic thing. This cowboy man who is, and that's what Star Wars was all about. It was cowboy. That's what it was all about. They went back to that. Genius. The lone cowboy guy who then is supposed to kill, but chooses not to kill and chooses to save. And how does that change his life? Well, that played out in season 1 and season 2. Yeah. And at the end of that, when Luke shows up, I don't know about you, I cry, man. I'm watching that thing. I go, that was brilliant. And Luke comes in the end, and that whole thing should have been finished.
Done. Yeah.
But they cannot. Why? Because that Disney, and they got to keep
Wait,
making.
that's the one he came back on the mountain. What?
What you watch? Lord of the Rings guy. What do you like?
I'll just turn Kyle off.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Star Wars.
Rocky.
Luke
No,
came
you're
back
like
on the
Rocky.
mountain.
Rocky.
It's different.
Oh, okay.
I can talk about Rocky too. Rocky good, man. All the Rockies. Talk about Creed.
Hey, you know what? The latest Rockies
Oh yeah, the
kind
Creed.
of revived the whole thing.
The
All
Creed
the
ones
stuff
are
is
great.
good,
They're good. They're good.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, shifting the gears, if you know the Creed story, right? And that was what they did, was they flipped them upside down, right? And that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
They take this Adonis who never existed, made this Creed story. And if you know I'm forgetting his name right now. He went to USC, the director.
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, yeah. His story, and again, it's always out of love, yeah. His dad loves Star Wars. Rocky. His dad was a big Rocky fan. So for him to take this on, he pitched it to them, right? That his dad loved Rocky, so he wanted to put his own spin, and he made this Creed story about this Adonis Creed. Brilliant. And then it was also the Rocky story because it was about redemption, right? So he really did good by it. And even this third one we watched was still good. And,
That was still good.
And he directed it.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Michael
B. Jordan.
B.
Excuse me.
Jordan
Michael B.
directed it.
Jordan
Yeah, the story,
directed it. So I go, hey, they were able to take it and spin it and revive it. But Rocky 1, great. Rocky 2, I liked Rocky 2. Rocky 3, I even liked that.
Yeah.
Oh man, they went off the rails. But that's what happens, I think. And that's
Rocky
hard.
4 was who?
Drago.
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 Yeah.
But that
And I
one is
think
one
that's
of the.
hard with any show, Star Wars.
But isn't Rocky 4 like one of the most commercially successful ones though?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
everyone talks about
Yeah.
Drago.
Yeah, Drago, because everybody's in now, right? And it's just kind of like Star Wars. Probably they make a next Star Wars movie. It makes big money, right? And I just think
I don't know. At this point, they've ruined it.
Well, I mean, I will say
telling
kind
you.
of like this. Like people talk about Avatar 2, right? The new Avatar just came out, the water one.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys have thoughts?
Don't get me
I didn't
started
watch
on
it.
Avatar.
You don't like it? You don't like any
hate
Avatar?
Avatar.
Well, he was gonna
really?
swear.
I hate Avatar with
Wow.
Really? You hate Avatar 1?
You're gonna say fucking Avatar.
I know. Wow.
yes, F Avatar.
Yeah.
You hate Avatar 1 and
stand
Avatar 2?
Yes,
How come?
because it is the most generic storyline. You can see everything coming with generic characters.
Yeah.
No one gives any crap about those characters. Like, no one can run any. There's no lines like "I am your father" or anything out of that movie. It's just It's the McDonald's Happy Meal of movies that makes billions of dollars for no reason. No.
So you guys should invite me back just to talk about movies.
I
That's
know.
all we'll talk about. No need to talk about
You
me.
and John
We
had
can-
dinner
I've never
for
seen you get
hours.
this emotional about it.
we
man.
can-
I hate Avatar more than anything. I think
I'm not a big fan.
Wow, John, that's strong.
Okay,
I know,
Words.
man.
let me go with John because I
Okay,
want to
okay.
What about Titanic?
No, I've never seen Titanic.
Oh yeah. When I moved into my building, the first movie I watched in that theater was
Titanic?
Really?
Well, just because I needed something that I thought would make me cry. And I figured
You know what? You know what frustrated me about Titanic?
Yeah.
That biatch. Leonardo could fit on that floating
Yeah.
log, bro.
Well, that's what everybody talks
No, they
about, right?
tested it out, bro. No can.
No, I bet he
can just-
could have.
yeah, he
He
can.
could have.
No,
He could have
can.
fit
would've
on that
died. He
door.
would have died.
He could have
They-
fit on that door.
No, they actually did it for
Mythbusters.
Yeah, for Mythbusters,
Yeah.
and then something else. Like
Yeah.
somebody else shot it again, and they
Tried to
they
get
did
it.
it. No
They
matter
said it
what
tips
they did,
over. It
it
tips
tips,
over.
and
Yeah.
they both died. So it was like, well, you know.
But
so
I
it looked
but I
right.
would
All
say
right,
this.
got away with that, then.
And James Cameron even they did a documentary about it, and James Cameron was like, because he came back to shoot that thing and say, okay. Yeah. I know. I made the fucking thing too big. It looked like, because that's what he said in the end. He goes, yeah, I know. I made it just a hair too big, and then people were gonna get the idea that he could actually fit on that thing. But then, dude, they made kids get hypothermia. They made 2 people get in the freezing water and like do the whole thing
Why would
to
it
try
have to
to
be
get
freezing
on
water?
there.
They could stood
And
in a pool.
Every time the kid was gonna die because they both got hypothermia. It was crazy.
But you look at it and you go like, just in general, I just say like, in any creative endeavor, I think music, the TV commercials, TV show, any creating T-shirts and art, right, and magic, all of it is kind of like this weird leap of faith you got to make, and it's like this weird, like Stephen King, he talked about, what he does, and it's hard to explain, but it's what we all do. It's a magic time machine, I'm actually watching on Netflix the show Dark right now. Oh man, check it out. It's this German show. It's about time travel and really dark. So, but all of us, we sit down and we create this thing, whatever it is, assuming that in the future somebody will want to watch it, to buy it, to like it, and we believe that we're sitting there, and that's what Stephen King said. So I'm not making up. He sits at this portal. And he makes this thing and he's sending it in time that it eventually ends up in the bookstore or whatever. And he's talking to you from here, but in the future when you pick it up, you're reading it and he's telling you then, and it's a time machine thing. And that's kind of what we're doing. And it's a leap of faith in believing someone's going to buy it, listen to it, watch it. And if you don't have that, to me, that's kind of life. We all like take a leap of faith, right? Everybody and everything that you do, you step forward and you have to kind of believe in what you're doing, that it's going to come through. And I don't know, I think that's what all of them are, even Avatar. Even Avatar. We could talk about that another
Anyway.
time, offline.
We'll
Okay.
bring James back and we'll talk
Okay,
about that.
so
We
so
got to close up.
we're running a little
Yeah.
long, so let's
Yeah.
finish with our last question.
Yeah.
So James, this is a question we ask everybody on
Okay,
the show.
sure.
We're on a music channel technically. So if you were stranded on a desert island for all of eternity, and you could only take 3 albums with you to listen to for the rest of time, what would those 3 albums be?
Okay. God, I wish I was set up before this. I could. Okay. That's how it works. Yeah, you got to tell me. Okay.
Yeah.
So just off the cuff, I would say like, and it can be anything. Like it can be a compilation.
We don't
be
usually
No
do
compilation.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that. Okay. Van Halen 1984 to me is like for me, because I love Van Halen too.
Yeah.
That was like their that was them like stepping into their own, and I was like in high school then, and to hear all
Good
those
music,
songs,
yeah.
oh, I love that album. So I would say Van Halen '84 would be 1. Okay, number 2. Oh, I gotta take 3. See, unfortunately, I'm an '80s guy, so that's what I listen to mostly.
That's fine.
All the music that I listen to.
I'll go on to say that while you're thinking, the only reason why Avatar 1 was successful at all because they baited everybody into the theater with this stupid 3D idea. It did not work out.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like
It's
that
okay, John,
movie
it's okay,
actually.
bro.
I think he has I think he has this really deep hostility.
It was
to
super. It was
to
super.
that.
For those of you
derivative,
listening
but
at
it was
home,
great.
name the villain. What's the villain's name?
What?
That guy with the scar on his face.
The
but
guy
I
with
don't
the scar on
remember
his face.
name.
I
don't
know
remember
you
his
probably
name.
know because
Yeah.
you
General.
remember
Yeah.
everything.
General somebody. Yeah, I
So
don't
you
know.
can't
his
even remember the name of the
You don't
main
remember the name.
antagonist.
Yeah, correct. No, that's a good point. Okay, so number 2, I would say, just because when I was growing up, this was the one that we listened to.
Okay.
Is Michael Jackson, but Off the Wall.
Oh, yeah, that's
Off the
great.
walls.
Great
Oh
album.
man,
Good
one.
Off the Wall,
Classic,
before Thriller.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one was
yeah.
like we were kids, and I was like,
That was
oh my-
produced by
Quincy
Quincy
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jones,
Quincy
right?
Jones.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
their first.
Oh,
That was
man.
their first collaboration.
As a kid, I remember one of my friends gave me the cassette of that. I was like, oh my god! As a gift, I was like, oh man, I wore that thing.
Yeah,
out,
it
right?
was one
Yeah.
of the
So-
first. That was the first album I ever bought.
Yeah, dating my times, and then I would say, God, I gotta pick something. Then, okay, I gotta pick this one. Okay, I'm gonna get creamed on this one. Okay, and I've only listened to a little bit of it. I'm gonna go Taylor's version. Taylor Swift.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, you guys gotta hate me now.
Go ahead.
What is it?
I like-
1985, 1889,
1989.
1989.
Okay.
That's a good album.
That's a
I-
great.
It's a good.
I like-
album. Great
what
pop
song
I
album.
like
talking
Taylor
about?
Swift.
No,
What?
no.
It's like Welcome to New York or all of that stuff.
Yeah,
But I will
yeah.
tell you this. I'm picking that only because I think it was, I just saw it in the record store the other day, and I think it was brilliant and genius what she did
Oh, to re-record everything?
re-record
Yeah.
everything and kind of say, you know what? If you guys are going to buy all my early stuff, that's fine. I'm just going to redo it all and make a new, fresher version and call it Taylor's version. And I believe that that's the power to the artist, and that was so strong. So I love that, and that's my 3 picks.
And she made a shit ton of money.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
She's,
she can make
Oh my
several
God.
billion
Oh yeah.
on this tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
People just keep buying the albums, man.
Hey.
Well, James, we definitely have
Thank
to have
you.
you back.
Thank you.
More movie talk would
Yeah.
be great. And
Oh, I could skip
until
that
next
one.
time,
Yeah.
we will see you all later. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.